I'll get this timing down sooner or later. It's like there's got to be an internal setting in here someplace where I don't have to be like off camera and on audio all at the same time. I'm just thinking. Like you said, that's just me thinking out loud. Oh, forgot our backboard here. Okay. It is me and you and everybody. John here, you there. Thanks for coming by as you always do. And it is yet another week of SDH AM as we look at what's going on in and around the planet with this particular tournament. And wow, wasting absolutely no time. No time. Wasting no time, no time, no time. As he becomes properly hydrated, because that's what you need to be in this situation. We bring in Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. You, sir, are you properly hydrated?
I think so. I went through a tough run today, and I've drank in probably 2 liters of water today. It's humid out there, man. You gotta do what you gotta do. I needed a hydration break today.
Yeah, and we're gonna have ours at 10 o'clock, as we always do at the midpoint. And so now that we have had a week pass us by in this particular tournament, where would you like to start with your discussions, sir?
I'd like to welcome Spain officially to the tournament. Appreciate you guys showing up. Look, I mean, no surprise. And like we saw what Cabo Verde has done, obviously in the match yesterday as well. So maybe a little bit more out of Cabo Verde than you thought from the original match of Spain. It wasn't just all about Spain. But look, we talked about it. They took the match off. They probably underestimated their opponent. They're not the only team to do that. I could go through a list of teams like Portugal, who I think maybe didn't do what was necessary to win their opening match. And, we'll see if Portugal can turn it all the way Spain did, because that was an absolutely beautiful first half yesterday. And then they kind of just cruised, played smart, not pick up too many yellow cards, stuff like that throughout the second half. But obviously a great crowd in Atlanta. So Spain officially, that's what was supposed to be in the first match, is a showcase of this is why they're among the best teams in the world. And certainly you saw that. And just some really fun matches since the last time we talked, obviously the US and Australia. But, I was at the Braves game Friday night. I was watching Brazil on my phone, and they did the darn thing. Like, they were outstanding. The Netherlands over Sweden was impressive. And I couldn't tell you, man, I was broadcasting on Sunday, and Ivory Coast takes a lead, and they hold the lead for a long time against Germany. And it's one of those results that would have, and probably more than any other match, if Ivory Coast, even if they just held to a draw, but if Ivory Coast had taken that 1-0 win all the way through time with Germany, it would have flipped that group entirely on its head. Unfortunately, they were not able to. They'll still have an opportunity to move on, but really inspiring stuff from Côte d'Ivoire.
Yeah, and wow. Okay, so that might be why.
What do you know? I'm like, it's weird. Okay, let's see if that's any better, because apparently I sounded like I was in a cave going out on the podcast. So I think I might have let me know if the microphone is better. So there we go. Yesterday. Now here in Atlanta, and I know that there's been all kinds of smack about the crowds and everything, capacity. I think it was 230,000 folks that have been at the first 3 matches here in Atlanta. So obviously, there are issues with getting people in the door.
It's funny because I was reading something just that all of the matches in all of Canada, US, Mexico, and like the match capacity was like 98.4%. Maybe it was 99.4%. And I'm not surprised. Like, I know everyone made a big deal of the hotels and Airbnb and the tickets. I'm like, man, that pricing is going to drop when the games get here. It's going to be rocking. It's been super cool to see various nations and fan bases take over the streets of various cities. It was funny. I saw a photo. I'm assuming it was from Times Square last night. I guess I could look this up real quick and see where Norway's
going nowhere.
Norway's playing in the New York, New Jersey stadium there at East Rutherford. And I saw a photo of Times Square that just had, I don't know, 10,000 Norwegian fans, and they were doing their Norway row. And the comment was like, imagine you just travel by train to see Les Mis, and this is what you walk into. And yeah, I was like, this just it's pretty cool to see various fan bases take over the various cities.
Well, and you saw what was the Dutch in Houston, and they were on Rice University's campus. I mean, imagine if you're like a Rice University kid and you're chasing after a PhD, and you're just kind of your head's in your book, and then all of a sudden you see all of these the Orange Army come walking through, and they're just coming right down the middle of your campus, and they're doing their hop from the side to side. And then apparently the Rice students, they were just like, yeah, we're going to dive in on this. And so interspersed in all of that orange, you see some of that Rice dark navy blue.
Look, if anything, college kids will join for a party. So you and I are obviously in it, and we know what to expect on a daily basis. Like, I can't imagine being like a liberal art student who's like not really paying attention at all to athletic endeavors, and just the World Cup now is at your back porch, and you're like, what is that banging at 10 a.m.? It's like, oh, that's the entire armada from Spain heading down to the stadium. Like there are people in various spots of this country who are like, why is this happening, or why is that happening? Just fully ignorant of the fact that the World Cup is going on. Because of how I work sports wise, like, I don't even know what the direct comparison is. Like, maybe if I was in like Milan and it's Fashion Week and I just start seeing random people, I was like, well, what are they doing here? Like, I guess I could be ignorant to that, but like, it's amazing to think of people who like didn't know it was coming. Like almost like it snuck. We've been counting down, right? We've been watching qualifiers. We've been watching ramp ups and friendlies or exhibitions, whatever you want to call them. We've been waiting for it. There are people who's like, it just snuck up on. And that's almost the funniest reaction to me is people in Boston just at their local pub is like, why is it packed here? It's never packed here. What's going on?
And you mentioned Boston, and thank you for reading my notes. How in the hell can Boston not have enough beer for the Tartan Army? How can you not think that the Tartan Army, with all the time they're going to spend there in Foxborough, isn't going to drink you out of all of your beer? How can you be a Boston bar owner and not think that you're going to have nothing left and you're going to have reinforcements?
I have two comments here. The first is maybe you presumed they were drinking whiskey and they were drinking scotch, and that was going to be the go-to. And maybe you ran out of beer, but now you have like 50 barrels of scotch you got to find someone else to drink because they didn't drink it. And then, like, I mean, to be fair, it's not like we haven't seen like the LSU Tigers like go out to Omaha and drink the College World Series out. We've seen college fan bases like invade towns and like kind of drink them dry. So I it happens, but like, yeah, we've had, I mean, when did we get the World Cup announcements in terms of like a year ago, and just at least in terms of the games? And I know you didn't know which fan bases, and I'm no offense to some of the less drinky fan bases, but like, Scotland is probably going to drink a little bit more than say Tunisia, and so you probably have to plan for that a little bit. But yeah, it's one of the funnier stories. And I mean, Sam Adams running out of beer, like tip of the cap to Scotland. Like that's something their fans will always be able to claim, is I helped drink one of the oldest and more famous beer places in this country dry. So it's, I find it funny, but I would be also equally, if I were there and I was like, well, no, it's like 7:50 p.m. Like we're not done drinking. So like, I don't know, figure it out, man.
You're done drinking because we don't have any more beer. Well, then fine, I'm walking away and I'm going to the next establishment where I can. It's 250 years worth of revenge, and it's finally coming out in the way of, we're going to drink you dry. And that's how it's going to happen. Abe Gordon, 92.9 The Game, dropping by here as he bats lead off here on a Monday. biggest surprise for you so far? Biggest disappointment for you so far?
Yeah, I was going to say surprise and disappointment kind of all wrapped into one, and I think that's Ecuador. This is a team that now has gotten 0 points, or rolling through it. Maybe they have one. I'm trying to think back. They drew with whoever it was, with Curacao. That's what it was. But scoreless in that match. And just this was a team that a lot of people had looked at as this tournament setting up nicely for them. A solid group. You can deal with the temperature, the atmosphere, different things that maybe play into their favor. And it was kind of a dark horse squad. So that certainly has been, and look, they're not out of it, I don't think, in terms of, I guess they have to get a result against Germany and hope that Ivory Coast doesn't get a result against Curacao and then flip goal differential. And it can become a mess here, but they're not completely out of it. But yeah, from the disappointment, I think Ecuador, Belgium too. But I don't know if I really talked about Belgium as being like a dark horse can make a run. I think they had their time. They were ranked 3 in the world for a number of years there, and they're on the downslope of that. So I'm not overly surprised. I don't even know who to say in terms of like a positive surprise. I was pretty open-minded going into the tournament. Obviously, Cabo Verde being in contention, still having an opportunity against Saudi Arabia to if we take it that far, potentially to win the group if they can flip goal differential, although I see that as relatively unlikely. And then again, Ivory Coast, they were so close against Germany, it felt like, to being able to win that group. And they have an opportunity, though, to move on. I think the African teams in general, and I've mentioned this before, I think the African teams have fared very well in this tournament. Egypt is topping their group there, and even Iran there has an opportunity. Cabo Verde, Ivory Coast is right there. Morocco, we'll see what they can do through injury, but their opportunity to top the group as well. So I think the African teams have fared very well in this tournament.
Yeah, and you end up with Uruguay, and I still think after what happened with Uruguay and Cabo Verde, I think that Marcelo Bielsa is probably going to grab a spork from the break room, and he's going to try and chase after some of his players because of what hasn't happened for Uruguay so far.
Yeah.
So, of course, in match day 3, you get Uruguay and Spain, you get Cabo Verde and Saudi Arabia later this week. You've got some. Now let me go through the predictor with you real quick, because one of the things that I've always kind of stuck with is BBC's predictor, and they have the knockout predictions laid out. And just as of right now, like if the tournament ended, the regular part of the tournament, group stage ended today, you've got possibilities of DR Congo and Ghana, the U.S. and Ecuador. You've got Mexico and Cabo Verde, England and Portugal. The subtext there doesn't write anything or write itself. Argentina, Uruguay, Colombia, Paraguay. That's just some of the samples and the knockouts that you would have. And the U.S. has, as of right now, this very second, a very favorable run. It's U.S. and Ecuador. Then it would be the winner of Egypt and Czech Republic. Then it would be in that bracket, you would end up with, obviously, you get through your mini bracket, and then you're probably running into Spain. But at least those first two, like we were saying, you get into the round of 8, and I think that's kind of a decent target for you. But the predictors has it right now, Ecuador, and then the winner of Egypt and Czech Republic after what happened late last night.
Yeah, I've seen the layouts, and I'm just like, dude, we're just now at the halfway point of the group stage. Like, we haven't played the third round of group stage games. So, like, I'm not going to be like, well, if we get through there, we can beat Czechia. And I'm like, all right, man, it's probably not going to be Czechia. Somehow we're going to stumble into Germany or something. So, like, I'm not going to, like, get myself worked out about, like, what the path could be just yet. I just think there's too much in front of you. Too much could change. And we just don't know how serious teams are going to take those third match days. We've got 3 teams that have officially qualified. Probably more, but we have 3 teams that have officially won their groups.
Yeah.
And that I believe is Germany, the U.S., and Mexico. Those are the three teams that you can already slot into the round of 32. And it's just like, all right, so what does that mean for their opponents, right? And whether it's Turkey A or who I don't remember offhand who Germany and let's see, Germany's playing Ecuador, right? So you talk about that, like, well, is Ecuador going to slide in and get 4 points? They potentially could then finish second in the group as opposed to third in the group. And so we'll see how Germany takes it. Same thing, you mentioned Mexico. They're playing Czechia. Czechia, maybe they get up to 4 points. Maybe Korea ties South Africa, and then you have the goal differential debate there. And so it's just too much to go on here in terms of like, this is the path. Like, I'll wait, and then when I can fill in the entire bracket, I'll fill in the entire bracket. But I mean, let's not get too excited. Let's not put the cart before the horse. And one of the concerns would be like in Ecuador, a team that we all kind of jumped on at the start of this tournament as they're going to be a real problem for someone when they get through the group. Well, now we're trying to be like, bury them because that problem is now for the United States. So I wouldn't necessarily be looking forward to facing Ecuador. I again, this is the thing with third place teams. Like, I don't think Ecuador is a great draw of the variety of third place teams you could be facing. Like, Ecuador is not a great draw there. So yeah, it's all going to be matchup based. And quite frankly, I'd much rather face Ivory Coast or certainly Curacao as a third place team if Ecuador could get a win, over Germany and advance as two in the group. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But I'm not going to get excited yet about the path, especially if we've talked up teams that might be problematic for others, and all of a sudden they're a problem for us.
And the way that things are, for those that may not remember, the tiebreaker first and foremost is head-to-head.
Yeah.
They changed that this year for this tournament. So you, in theory, could have a fourth place team in a group, and you have groups of chaos, and we have two of those. You could have a fourth place team literally in a group because of the head-to-head and the points, and then going down into your tiebreakers. You could have a fourth place team in a group of chaos come through, and they would make their way in because of tiebreakers. So somebody better be a damn good mathematician, especially after match day 3 this weekend, to try to figure out what's going to happen, because I have a feeling that you're going to have mathematical chaos in trying to figure out what's going to happen in the knockouts. And you're going to have some folks that are going to be pretty mad, and some folks that are going to be sitting there going, well, we escaped that.
Well, like I mentioned to you at the start of the tournament, like, just find out a mathematical way to figure this out before you get down to the yellow card accumulation and fair play. That's the one I really don't want deciding and ending someone's tournament. That's the one that's going to bother me. Goal differential, goals scored, head to head, whatever that may be. You got your tiebreaking there, but yeah, don't let me get into, well, they had 5 yellow cards and you had 4 yellow cards, so they're out. I don't want that.
And the idea of unscrewing a ball in a jar, like that never did anything for anybody. Frozen envelopes and all that kind of stuff. So we have this to look forward to as we head toward match day 3. What's your plans this week, my friend?
Well, I'll tell you what, I love a pair of matchups today. It's great to see France again. It's great to see Argentina again. That 8 p.m. game, though, Norway and Senegal, goes a long way to deciding how things are going to play out in that group. So really looking forward to that one. I can't wait to see England again. Ghana surprised with 3 points on their first match day. So just a lot of, again, we're only halfway through the group stage, and you're starting to see the situations, the scenarios heading into those final group stage games, but looking forward to that. I am going to Pittsburgh for a baseball trip with my dad Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm going to have to find the remote battery charger and be carrying that so I can stream all these games on my phone while sitting at PNC or some of the minor league stadiums we're going to go to. But I certainly will be paying attention to what's going on. I think for the good news, the U.S. not only has a late game Thursday, but essentially meaningless. And so I've been asked a couple of times, I'm sure you've discussed it too. You're sitting Pulisic, you're sitting everyone with the yellow card. And if you want to have the conversation of, well, is there any concern about losing momentum, losing confidence? What would a negative result do for the team? That's a risk I'm willing to take. I'm not losing anyone I don't need to lose heading into the round of 32. So again, some guys are going to have to start just because numbers are numbers. But anyone that's on a yellow card, they're hitting the bench for me. There's no reason in my mind to get Pulisic going until he's back to 100%. There's just not worth the risk. So, you don't need the result, and that's good news. That they did their job, and they got some help in their group as well a couple of different times. And so job well done by the U.S. men's national team, Pochettino, and we'll see how it wraps up for 32.
So you spent $7 on getting a good seat at PNC, I imagine. I don't think folks were knocking on the door there. What minor league parks are you going to?
I actually don't know the trip at all. I never pay attention. I think I know we're flying to Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Where at some point we're going to see the Andy Warhol Museum. We went to PNC Park long time ago, like maybe it's third or fourth season being open, and so we haven't gone back in a while. So checking that out. But yeah, I don't even know the minor league teams. I just go where they tell me. So, but it's always fun. Always look forward to it. We'll try not to put on too much weight trying out the minor league monstrosities that they offer. Well, you have to.
I know.
You can't go to a minor league stadium. You can get away with this at the majors, but you can't go to a minor league stadium and just have a regular hot dog. No, you have to go to a minor league stadium and get the hot dog that's on a pretzel bun that has mac and cheese on it, that's sprinkled with brisket or whatever they're going to do for you. So, I always make sure I get, essentially the weirdest food item I can find at the minor league stadiums. And they usually deliver, but they also deliver carbs and fat and all that sort of thing that I have to run my way back through. So, we'll get there.
Boy, Hacksaw Jim Duggan is at the Altoona Curve game on the 26th.
We've been to Altoona. We've been to Altoona before. I don't think we're going there again. We went to Altoona on a different trip. It wasn't Pittsburgh, but we went to Altoona, Harrisburg, a couple of others. We love the minor league stadiums are often the highlight of the trip, more so than the major league stadium. I do need to look up the Paul Skeens possibility and see if we get to see him, though.
There you go. Lock that in. Safe travels. Have fun. Come back and tell good stories, okay?
Yeah, sounds good, John. Appreciate it.
There he goes. There's Abe Gordon. And he's properly hydrating, and he's going to go see minor league baseball. That's what I like. Seriously, me and minor league baseball, I could do that. And minor league, lower division soccer, I could do that too. But no, the Altoona Curve, like I said, the first team that popped into my head when Abe said he was going to Pittsburgh was Altoona. And so I look at Altoona. Altoona's got a homestand with Reading, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan's going to be there on the 26th. So I'm like, yep, 1 and 2. Hit it. So that's going to be the fun part. So just come back and tell good stories. That's all we want. We got KCD coming up on a Monday because of travel plans, and I imagine she's got like live shots and things where she's going to be in person talking to people. So we'll get into that with her coming up in a bit. Bart Keeler, SoccerForUSPod, is going to join us at 10. We will talk specifically about the U.S. men's national team. And Yvonne Bartone. Yes, Yvonne Bartone. We're going to talk about Yvonne Bartone. Because when that was mentioned and Bart and I were going back and forth on that, we're like, oh, great, Yvonne Bartone. We'll have that conversation. And then once again, FIFA in tournaments not wanting to have a whole lot of fouls called. I don't have the foul numbers in front of me specifically, but there haven't been a whole lot. You're like under 20 is like the big number and all this stuff. All right. Now, making a Monday appearance. I feel like I need a separate drum roll for this one because of travel plans, and we'll find out what these travel plans are. 9:30 means at KCD where you be, and KCD is at home. Or no, that's a different look.
I switched it up a little personal travel before I head to New York this week, so a little different background.
Yeah, and because I was looking behind you off of the window or off of the reflection, and I'm like, wait a second, that's sunlight and trees. Those are two things I'm not used to seeing.
Exactly. Sometimes you just need a little getaway and then a little relaxation. So thanks for having me on a Monday. I appreciate it.
No worries. I thought that this was going to be outbound travel, but you're already outbound before you get to do live shots. Who are you doing live shots with this week other than us?
Oh, well, I've done a little NBC News earlier today, and then I'm going to New York tomorrow. So going to do a few things there to be determined. So we'll see.
Okay. When you look at the tournament so far, I've got a couple topics in my head, and we can go whatever direction you want. We can talk about the USMNT. We can talk about them through first 2 games heading into a third. We can talk about surprises. We can talk about disappointments. We can talk about anything, and specifically, obviously, today you've got the big guns coming out, 1, 2, and 3. Where do you want to go? You've got massive topics to get into. I will let you drive today.
Oh my goodness, I get to drive. This is great. Let's talk about today's games first, just to get into that, and then we can kind of go back.
Right on. All right, so let me get the juice boxes out because folks pay attention to those things. Though I'm very bad at it, so I don't even get there. So in the World Championship juice boxes today, 1 o'clock, Argentina and Austria. No surprise, Argentina is minus 217, big favorite. Austria is a plus 650. At 5 o'clock, France. I have to get that drop from Stevie. Minus 1111, by the way, and Iraq is a plus 3,300. Then Norway at 8 o'clock Eastern against Senegal. On the plus side, Norway's a plus 120, so they're a favorite, but they're on the plus side. Senegal's a plus 235, and then late night Jordan and Algeria. So today you have in order Messi, Mbappe, Holland. That's not a bad run.
Not a bad Monday. It's going to be a fun day. I've been thinking about all these teams that are now considered favorites or that are making good runs, and they all have one thing in common, is that they have an X factor player. And you've got Messi, you've got Mbappe, you've got Holland, who is going to propel Norway further than they would without him. He is just incredible. That game, Norway versus Senegal, has a lot riding on it. Is Norway for real? Is it Holland that's for real? We already know he is. And Senegal needs a win. Plain and simple. Senegal is going to have to come out and put themselves in a position to potentially at least be in third place. So I'm excited for that game more than any game today, just to see what happens between those two teams. Did you just see Owen moving, by the way, in the background?
Yeah.
Not sure if you saw him.
Yes, so what? Doesn't matter.
He came with me. So yeah, I'm very excited about that Norway-Senegal game.
Right now in Group I, Norway and France up top. Sorry, France ahead on goal difference, but number 1 is head-to-head. So Norway and France right now at 3 points. Goal difference has Norway up top. Senegal and Iraq both looking for their first wins. They lose first time out, and they are at no points in Group I. France, you anticipate, is probably going to put up a number against Iraq, and that we're going to hear from Graham Arnold later in the show on that one. But Norway and Senegal, that one's going to be the heavyweight battle in Group I, which leads us to Group J, and you have Argentina and Austria. And, you know, when you're 38 years old, almost 39, like this Messi character, and he's doing what he's doing, basically taking Algeria in the South. I mean, I don't know if when you were growing up in Texas, they talked about the switch or the whooping stick, but Messi went out to the backyard in round number 1, in match day number 1 at Arrowhead, and he basically told Algeria, okay, find your own switch, and I'll hit you with it. And so that's what happened there. He gets the hat trick. And the thing is, for me, 80 minutes are gone. It's 3-0. And Lionel Messi has decided, yeah, I'm good. He's checking himself out. He's not staying 90 minutes now. It's like, okay, game's under control. Y'all got this. 10 minutes to go. He's like, yeah, I'm out. Takes off the captain's armband and gets subbed out. He's resting himself here. This is crazy.
Messi's incredible. And what we saw in that first game versus Algeria was incredible. Full stop. Forget his age. That was an incredible performance. He shoots from distance with power. He's more alert than anyone in the box for a tap in with composure, by the way, not as easy as it looks. And then he goes, you know what? I'll just place a shot around you as well for good measure to complete the hat trick. Unbelievable performance by him. And he deserves to be able to take a seat and be able to sit down and rest for the next game. He's incredible. Argentina obviously still depends on him, and he can change a game. That's what you need at the highest level, not just someone like Messi, but someone who can change games, and he's the ultimate best at that.
And nothing like being able to go to the bench. It's like you're subbing folks out and you can bring in Julian Alvarez and Nico Paz. I mean, that's just not fair. Points.
Tough life Argentina has.
Scaloni's just like, all right, so what am I going to do here? I got 10 minutes to go. You look at this roster and you're sitting there going, okay, the only thing missing is like Zico, I mean, it's.
Or he's like Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover, where all the numbers are going. It's all the players, and he's figuring out how do I keep them all happy and get them all onto the field because there's definitely a lot of riches there on that roster.
Okay, so since you opened that door, let me go here. Portugal and Cristiano Ronaldo. The point was made on TV by Thierry Henry about specifically where Cristiano Ronaldo is concerned, that Roberto Martinez has him as a 9. I've got him up top, and he hasn't really been a 9, unless he's been a 9 in the Saudi League, which no one's watching, and maybe he's doing that there. I don't know. But you're still having this issue of having to go through Cristiano Ronaldo. And there were times when they were on offense in match day 1 where he's getting in the way. It's like he wants to be his scoring self, but dude, you're the striker up top. You've got to let Bruno Fernandes do his thing over on the wing. You can't step in the way and all this kind of stuff. It's like working around. You're having to work around Cristiano Ronaldo. The players have said, post-match in an MD and match day -1 press conferences, we know we don't have an obligation to pass to him. Although I would think subliminally and in the back of your head, you probably do. When you look at Portugal, what do you see?
It's not that Portugal doesn't have the talent in that attacking third. They have the players. Obviously, you have Ronaldo, Fernandez, Neto, Bernardo Silva. It's now about getting that to click. And to your point of saying about movement and getting in the way of other runs and things like that, your starting position can throw that off. And so their biggest issue is figuring out how to use all of their movements in the attacking third to be able to create chances. Is that moving Ronaldo into another spot? I don't necessarily know if that will work, even though that is where he is most comfortable. The reality is now where he's at in his game, does he have the ability to play out in a different position? That's the kind of difficult part that they're having to figure out. But you're right. He wasn't effective in there, and he wasn't necessarily a link up forward either. So I expect a response from Portugal, definitely. I don't think it'll stay the same, but how far can they go without having that fluidity in the final third, I think remains to be seen.
So going into the last match day when they had all of their struggles against DR Congo, and props to DR Congo, by the way, here's your lineup. Your back 4, Nuno Mendes, Vega, Araujo, and Cancelo. The 2 in front, Vitinha and Neves. Then it was Neto, Bruno Fernandes, and Bernardo Silva with Cristiano Ronaldo up top. You mentioned trying to put him someplace else, but then it's like, okay, so if you're not the 9, then if you're not the striker, where do we put you? And then does that put Neto in an odd place? Do you flop Ronaldo and Bruno and put Bruno Fernandes up top? It's just, it is that Zach Galifianakis math question from the hangover where you're trying to sit there and go square peg round hole. And it's just like, no matter what you do, it seems like you would be upsetting all these chess pieces.
If we don't see a change in the next game in moving those chess pieces around, in my opinion, it's just easier to take one of the pieces out. Because what that means to me is that you have not trained it prior to the World Cup, and this isn't a time for experimentation. So if they haven't moved those pieces around already in preliminary games, then you wouldn't necessarily do it now unless you're trying to catch someone off guard. But the reality is, I would assume that one of them would come out. Now, is that a Ronaldo coming out of the lineup? That is the question, and that's what he has to figure out, is that the call to make? I think a lot of people would say it is. But what does that look like? And does it, maybe you put in a player that doesn't have the goal scoring ability that Ronaldo has shown through his career, but what does that unlock for the players underneath and around him? And that is the decision that is the really hard one here going into the next game.
The ones that didn't play: Diogo Dalot, Mateus Nunes, Inacio, Ruben Neves, Trincao, and Joao Felix. That's on your bench if you're Roberto Martinez, and you've got Cristiano Ronaldo up top, who registered the lowest rating of the starting 11 in this match against DR Congo, courtesy of our friends at SofaScore. He punched a 6.1, and he had 25 touches the entire time. He had 16 touches in the first half, no shots. 9 touches in the second half, 3 shots, none on target. One was a header where he jumped up to like 9.5 feet in the air, and he heads it wide of the target at the near post. So 25 touches, 1 unsuccessful touch, 6 carries, 1 progressive. And I'm just sitting there going, you're slowing us down, man. It's almost like Johnny Unitas is a Charger or Joe Namath as a Ram, or pick your favorite player and put them someplace else where they're in a uniform that's unfamiliar. It's an odd look.
Any country that is in the potential conversation of winning the World Cup has an X factor. You've got Kylian Mbappe, and an X factor that's in form, right? Ronaldo's not in a form where he is an X factor like a Messi, like an Mbappe, Harry Kane for England. I think for the Netherlands, they're performing well, but who's going to be that X factor to take them even further to be able to win? You need a good team, but you need the player to put it over the top. Portugal has an incredibly talented roster, and everyone based on name goes, okay, is it Ronaldo that's the X factor? Well, it doesn't seem like it based on recent form, based on the first performance, but can he be used as a tool to come into games or to provide some minutes? Potentially so. That comes from knowing your player, though, and can he and will he play that type of role, and will you get the best out of him? Those are all the pieces that Roberto Martinez has to think about, because there are other countries that may not be as talented top to bottom as a Portugal, may or may not, but they have the player that makes the difference. And that's what Portugal doesn't have at this point.
Yeah, we got to see Lamine Yamal yesterday. Spain woke up. They finally got rid of the snooze button and went up against.
It happens. Spain likes to do that sometimes.
And you end up with literally a first half that was 3. You end up with an OG in the second half that was 4. That was the Spain yesterday, I think, that everybody was looking for, that they didn't get when they got the shock of the planet when they went up against Cabo Verde in match day 1.
Did you see the photo that's circulating of Lionel Messi with Lamine Yamal as a baby?
No.
There is a photo that's out there, and I'm pretty sure it's confirmed and like a thing. I don't know, with AI and craziness, who knows? But apparently that he did a photo shoot his first year at Barcelona. They did like things with like a charity with kids, and Messi got paired with Lamine Yamal and his mom, and it was like posing with him. So they're saying Lamine Yamal is like anointed by Messi as the player. It's hilarious. But anyways, all that to say, Lamine Yamal, fresh, coming in, another X factor. Mm-hmm. That's where Spain, if they can play the way we know they can, and you get someone like a Yamal, forget his age, he has it. If you get someone like him that is clicking at the right time, that's feeling good, and we saw in their last game that he was, and he gets that first goal, no telling what that could do for Spain.
Then you end up with a player like Oyarzabal, who, I think that we would probably be saying a lot more about him if he was with one of those big clubs, but because I think he's with Real Sociedad, everybody's like, who? And dude, I think had 30 touch. He didn't touch the ball in match 1, didn't touch the ball in the first 30 minutes as the striker in the matchup against Cabo Verde. He had scored twice yesterday in that first 30 minutes going up against Saudi Arabia. So I'm like, okay, so you see?
Well, all that negative media probably inspired him. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. But someone who plays up top, sometimes you're not that involved, but you better be ready to go. And he certainly was. He has a great skill set. You could see it in the goals that he scored, that he is definitely going to be a threat. And that's one thing that's also important, is having multiple players that can score. While you need the player that is the go-to and that can pull something out of nothing, having those different options allows you throughout the tournament to be more unpredictable. And he's a player for Spain that can certainly help that.
All right, let me talk some minnows here for a second. Specifically, Cabo Verde and Curacao. And if there are any other first-timers that I haven't talked about yet, we can go ahead and add those in. When you've got when you're in a tournament, and you know this from your coaching days last month at TST, if you got a hot goalie that's stopping everything,
Yes.
Doesn't matter. I mean, it could be you when you're covering the college tournaments, when you're covering Final Fours, when you're doing TST and you're yelling at him as a coach. If you've got a hot keeper, then you ride that as long as you can. And when you've got a dude who is 40 in Vazinha, where he is stopping everything, and literally it's like this, video game kind of stops that he's making. That really helps when you've got a guy, like Eloy Room with Curacao, with the point that they got yesterday, where Eloy Room had 15 saves, and everybody, I think, was cheering. It's just like, no, we just go ahead and get 16. Just go ahead and keep going. Keep shooting at him. He's stopping everything. When you have these minnows that come in, and you've got a keeper that's standing on his head, whether it's Eloy Room or whether it's Vozinha, that's going to help. And I think we've seen how an experienced keeper can help a young defense navigate these matches, and we've seen it now twice with two separate clubs, with Curacao and with Cabo Verde.
From a team result perspective, what an advertisement for an expanded format, an expanded tournament, to give countries the opportunity to make their debuts, but also to endear themselves to fans and also get results. It's incredible. They're hitting all those factors. I've always said for years that if you have a goal scorer and you have a goalkeeper, you can stay in a lot of games, because a goal scorer can pick something out of nothing and you can win something 1-0, something that's really tight. And if you have a goalkeeper that can make incredible saves, organize your back line, and then stand on their head, no telling what can happen. We're seeing that with both Room and Vozinha and the way that they've performed. I love watching the fans around them, their families. It's such a great advertisement for people to dream and to realize that dreams don't stop at 20, 25 years old, especially with Vozinha being 40. Mm-hmm. I just think that's so inspirational to see not only that he's there, but that he's able to have an impact.
And I think Eloy Room, I think, is 37. And so what is it? Everybody says that keepers age differently. When someone says that, what do we mean?
I have no idea. I don't actually know. I'm not a goalkeeper. So to me, it would seem that like jumping and falling on your body would actually make you age more. But I will say that goalkeeping too is a lot of reading the game as well. The shot stopping piece and the falling down and getting up, I don't know how they do that, throughout the years. I couldn't do it. But reading the game over time, you become smarter. And when you're not having to run all over the field, that probably helps as well. And the maintenance of their body. But you have to talk to a goalkeeper about that quote.
I will. I'm going to ask you. I'll find a keeper and say, okay, y'all age differently. What in the wide world of sports are we talking about?
Exactly.
Has your mind changed on your favorites with all the chaos that we've seen in a couple of groups when it comes to the end of your bracket? Has your bracket changed or shifted, even though it's already filled out in pen?
Not necessarily. France and Spain, I think, are still up there. I'm going to keep my hat on Spain a little bit. I do think that they have the ability to go far in this World Cup. It got me a little nervous after game one, but I think they're there. It hasn't changed so much as more teams have made me feel more comfortable to think that, hey, they could potentially make a run. England's one of those. I always think England is going to do well. So this year I was kind of like, well, we'll see. And they looked great in game one. We'll see what game two looks like. Harry Kane being in good form is always a recipe for success. And the Netherlands as well impressed me. The one thing I worry about is who is their player they rely on to score goals when things aren't going well. I don't think they have that. It has to be more by committee. So the more players that are scoring for them in these earlier games, the better for a longer run in the tournament, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we got to keep an eye on Ronald Koeman, too, because of decisions that he makes late in matches with his history. Where is Owen, by the way?
Oh, he's just laying over there. He's got his back turned to me, so I think he's annoyed that I'm on the computer again. He's giving me a cold shoulder, but it's fine.
Wow. Cold shoulder on a Monday. Okay, so you're leaving wherever that sun is shining right now. You're leaving later today, I imagine, so you can head to New York. Yeah?
Yes.
Now, the weather's supposed to be crappy that you're flying into later today.
I'm flying tomorrow, to be fair. So it should be okay.
Yeah, because I'm watching the Big 55 over here, and I'm keeping an eye on everybody's travel plans. Because, today there's talk that the match with the match in the Meadowlands might have some issues when it comes to rain and delays and such. And so that's why I was triggering. It's like, okay, we'll keep an eye on things. So you're flying to New York tomorrow. You're going to be there for like 72 days, and then you're going to go back home. And so, wait, so if Owen is there and he's not going with you, who's keeping an eye on Owen?
Are you trying to get all my travel plans here? I'm
I'm comparing dog sitting notes, actually.
No, I will be home before I fly out tomorrow. So I've got my dog sitter all lined up. He's taken care of. You know, I mean, he runs the house. So
Yeah.
let's be real.
Yeah, the rowdy man's upstairs. He does the same thing. So just be safe. Have fun. May all of the instructions that go into your ear, may they not conflict, like for the HAL 9000, and may all of your segments go as well as they always do. It's always great to see you and catching up on stuff and getting your thoughts, and we've got to get that whiteboard up and running. When you're
I know.
Indoors.
Thanks for having me on. It's always a highlight, and thanks for moving to Monday. I appreciate it.
No worries. Just be safe. We'll see you next week.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Thanks. There goes Kacey D and the Globetrotting. Miles and points. Hopefully she's getting all the miles and points out of this. Bart Keeler coming up in about 10 minutes. So let's go over what happened yesterday. And we've got highlights and stuff. So yesterday on a couple of different fronts, once again, it was that day that we were talking about late in Kacey's segment where the Spain, I think that a lot of folks were anticipating, they showed up. Just to kind of give you an idea, it started early. Lamine Yamal with the goal, courtesy of our friends at FDP Radio, and on the call, it is Jesus Acosta.
Realmente, sí. 8 mínimo.
Se cobró el tiro de esquina, la gana fuera del área. Dani Olmo le pega por encima del arco defendido por Mohamed Alouais. Es saque de meta para Arabia Saudita.
Es un equipo sin capitán, sin alguien que lidere en la cancha, por eso existe la Ford F-150 para ayudarte a mantener el control en cualquier situación. Una razón más por la que en los Estados Unidos los hispanos manejamos más camionetas Ford que cualquier otra marca. Ready, set, Ford.
Sacaba la pelota el arquero Alouais, balón en la mitad de la cancha para que recupere al Caibari, pero hay una infracción.
Porque frente a una defensa que está casi toda dentro de su área, muy cerrada, la media distancia puede ser una variable.
Tiene que variar todo el tiempo.
Y creo que llegaron los centros más desde la línea de fondo, ¿no? Porque ese centro mete balón alzado, Jesús.
Oyarzábal que se mete en el área, la mete por el centro, remate al arco de Yamal, se metió, balón adentro, golazo. Oyarzábal que se escapó, metió el pase al medio, entraba Yamal al segundo palo, le pega y le envía al fondo del arco para que ahora en la primera mitad, al minuto 11, España se pone a ganar 1-0 con el gol de Lamine Yamal. Anota Yamal su tanto en favor de España, su séptimo con la selección de España para Lamine Yamal. Lo gana España, Arabia Saudita 1-0 en fútbol de primera, la radio del Mundial.
There you go. So they went into their promo. I cut that way too long because you also got an ad in there for Ford trucks from our friend Andres Cantor. So Lamine Yamal scores in the 11th, and it was on from there. You had a goal by, let's see, you had Oyarzabal scoring in the 21st, and then again in the 24th after Lamine Yamal scores in the 10th, and then you end up with a goal in the second half that was flipped to an own goal. Initially, it was credited to Marc Cucurella, but it ends up as an own goal by the time they were done. 4-0, and that was the day pretty much for Spain in front of an announced crowd of 68,239. So 68,239 in the building, and it was loud. Spain gets the win. They're up to 4 points in the group, and Uruguay and Cabo Verde, they're at 2 points in the group with 2 draws out of the block. Saudi Arabia right now, they are at 1 draw and 1 loss. They need a win, and they need some help in match day last. So what happened in that other matchup? It was a moment of first, a match of firsts. And it started off with a free kick. And here is that free kick once again, courtesy of our friends at the Telemundo. JP De La Camera got to call the U.S. version over on Big FOX, and it makes sense that from an English language perspective, for a Hall of Famer to get to call a moment for a team like what we have seen with Cabo Verde, to be able to get that moment in for JP De La Camera on the English language side, very cool. Here's how that free kick was called on the Telemundo Deportes broadcast. Once again, thanks to our friends there for breaking it down for us. And here's how they described this moment of history for Cabo Verde, the free kick from Kevin Peeney. Come on. Oh, I know what I did. Never mind. I know what I did. Hang on. Let's go now. Let me rewind it. This is what happens when you mute the end of one highlight. It doesn't go back to default.
Sorpresa en Miami, gana Cabo Verde 1-0.
Sorpresa y locura. Explotó el estadio como si fuesen todos de Cabo Verde. Fantástico, esto es fútbol. En la primera chance que tuvo el conjunto africano, un tiro libre lejos de frente al arco donde daba la sensación que la barrera estaba bien ubicada. Algo pasó en esa barrera. Muslera no vio la pelota. El derechazo.
And there you go. That was the goal on the board in the 21st that got things started, and that was a free kick that threaded the needle. So goal on the 21st, then Uruguay scores on the 44th, and then they scored at 45 plus 6. Araujo and Canobio. It was 2-1 Uruguay. Then you get a goal from Varela with 30 to go. And that was the 2-2 draw there at Hard Rock, Miami Stadium, whatever you want to call it. Here's your numbers. Shocking no one, Uruguay had possession 2-1 over Cabo Verde. Then it was XG of 2.32 to 0.88. Total shots 17-12 to Uruguay. Corners and fouls both 11-4. Both teams had 16 tackles. Free kicks 11-4 for Cabo Verde. Shots on target 4 for Cabo Verde, 2 for Uruguay. Then it was obviously shots off target 8-4. Shots inside the box 9-2 Uruguay. Shots outside the box 10-8 Cabo Verde. And going into a couple of the defensive numbers, it was Cabo Verde winning your ground duels about 59-41, 39 out of 66. Aerial duels went the way of Uruguay. Dribble successful 12-7, and the overall passes in the final third. Once again, this is indicative of how Cabo Verde wants to play. 21-45 on the day for Cabo Verde. They scored twice. Then passes in the final third for Uruguay, 142 of 197, and they scored twice. Crosses 4-2 on the day for Uruguay, but I still think that I would love to know what Marcelo Bielsa told him in the locker room after the match. I think it was probably something along the lines of, y'all are walking home. You're walking back to the hotel. So you end up with that matchup going 2-2. Cabo Verde, and Jason had said this, he thought that Cabo Verde could make their way out of group. We're going to be catching up with Ali Haworth, I think, tomorrow afternoon on tape, and we'll run that on Wednesday. Ali is on this particular side of the Atlantic, and we'll catch up with stuff with Ali about what his coverage of Cabo Verde has been like, and we'll go from there with that. Then the other two matchups, obviously the late ones that were last night, you end up with Egypt and New Zealand. Egypt and New Zealand late was 3-1 to Egypt. Mo Salah with the goal there. We have that goal. We might play it later. We also have some sound from Darren Baisley, the head coach of New Zealand, after the match is over. Belgium and Iran goalless. And a lot of folks are souring, like Kacey D is souring on Belgium right now. The idea is, you kind of have to score goals to get points, and Belgium isn't. Belgium and Iran draw. Spain 4-0 over Saudi Arabia. Uruguay, Cabo Verde 2-2 draw in Miami. Egypt and New Zealand in a packed BC Place, 3-1 in Group G, and that's where we are. So it is, by the way, it is now the top of the hour, getting close anyway. So I'm going to bring in Bart Keeler, and it is now time for our hydration break, brought to us by our friends at Local Vine, Beer, Wine, and Liquor, 2 locations, Johns Creek and on Cobb Parkway. So now we properly hydrate ourselves. And we welcome Bart back from his sojourn where you, sir, you made it to Seattle and you made it back. Welcome back. How was the trip?
I did make it to Seattle and I did make it back. It was a long travel day back because, John, I don't know if you're aware, the Seattle is 3 hours behind us. So I had to wake up early to get back at a reasonable hour. So it was an early wake up call the day after. And if you can tell, the day after, screaming my lungs out for 90 minutes. And especially the U.S. having the opposite problem that Belgium is having. We're scoring a bunch of goals in this tournament.
Yes. We will discuss the tournament on the whole. And the dude that as you were in Seattle and you were texting me furiously about a particular individual. And that's where we get into reffing.
We have to talk about that and reffing down here.
Reffing down here with Yvonne Bartone. It's like Yvonne Bartone. Oh, that dude. Okay, so we'll get into that. You look at first off, and I want you to almost walk this with me here as both your Soccer for US person and then the person who was there as a fan, because obviously you're in the building. And what was it like there in the building? Was it as electric as it seemed that was being projected on television, or were they even selling it short?
I don't know if they were selling it short. I think they were giving it the accurate description. It truly was an unreal atmosphere that I have never really felt as a U.S. fan, to be just blunt. Wow. Mainly because in Atlanta they decided to shit the bed. So we didn't.
There's the E rating for Monday. Attaboy. Okay.
Well, what else do you call it when you do that? Sorry.
You could use our ish term, but okay, you just went straight to it here on a breakfast. You're all good to go.
You should just have a beep button ready for me. Maybe I need to have one.
If I hit a bleep button, then we'd be okay. Yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there.
But it really was electric, John. It was an early day. I do want to say that it was an early day, which a lot of people had feelings about. I didn't mind waking up at 7:30 to start preparing for the preparation. And that was, I think, the thing that stood out to me most was the day before, which I got in on Wednesday, saw some U.S. fans flying in on Wednesday, saw a good number of U.S. fans around on Thursday, the day before the game in Seattle. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh, the red, white, and blue have taken over Seattle. And I kind of rationalized that to say, well, yeah, the people who live here aren't necessarily going to be wearing they didn't pack 5 jerseys like I did to wear, for 3 days. But when I woke up Friday morning and first off, we took public transit, which was, shout out to Seattle for having actually good public transit. Weird how that makes a match day experience better. Folks on the bus wearing red, white, and blue. We got off near Pike Place Market. It's just a swarm of American jerseys. And to be fair, a lot of Australian jerseys, I don't want to sell them short. They were out in numbers too, but you could feel the energy building. I mean, we started at 8:45 in the morning when we got outside. So it really did have that electric atmosphere from the time you woke up until, we didn't go to bed until late to be. we were celebrating the whole day because it just was such an incredible day that we got to share for the first time for a lot of people. And we'll get to this, I think, later on, or maybe in a full Soccer for Us episode. But it was the first time you've been able to truly celebrate the USMNT with this amount of fans who were just living in the moment. And so, no, I don't think the broadcaster sold it short because it was insane from the time we got up to the time we got to bed that day. And you couldn't, we were at the Harbor Steps, which was like right across from Waterfront Park, and you couldn't move. It was packed at 8:30 in the morning. And I think that's just a testament to whatever is going on right now with this team. People are getting on the bandwagon, which is great. Welcome. But it was something I've never really experienced before as a U.S. fan.
And the starting 11 was pretty much your peak starting 11 going forward. It is Matt Friesen net, 3 at the back, Reem Richards and Alex Freeman. We will have a bit of an Alex Freeman discussion here in a second. Jedi, Malik Tillman, Tyler Adams, Weston McKinney, Serginho Dest, and then Pepe and Balogun up top. Let me start up top. No Christian Pulisic. That was announced, I think, an hour and 45 before kick. So then you have 2 strikers up top with Pepe and Balogun. What did you think of that idea?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting from Pochettino to go with a kind of a 2-striker setup. I don't think you could quite call it a true 2-striker setup, but it did play out that way a lot. But Balogun was a little more free-ranging. He was the chicken that lays the eggs that you want to buy at the grocery store.
That's very Dutton Ranch for you to say that he was free-ranging.
Yeah, very Dutton Ranch. I got to catch up on the latest episode because I missed that on Friday, obviously. But it did work in a lot of cases because I think it made sense for Pochettino to do that, knowing what Australia was going to do, which, John, I don't know if you recognize this. I think their game plan was just to kick the opponent the whole time.
Yeah.
It looked more like an Aussie rules match, to be fair, in a lot of ways. I mean, there was a lot of grappling, a lot of pulling, a lot of shoving when the ball was in the air, which is how Aussie rules is played, apparently.
Yes.
And so I think from that standpoint, it made sense because you had your 2 big guys, and your 2 best strikers. I don't think either of them had a great game, but I don't think that was the goal. What it did was made those Australian defenders actually have to occupy a striker. And it left guys like Tillman, like McKinney and Dest, who had a field day on the right side. And even Tyler Adams had a lot of freedom in the middle of the field, found himself with the ball at his feet and going, oh, wait, how do I pass this ball? Because it's not something he does often. And I think that was the goal, was to make Australia defend 2 strikers.
Yeah.
So the rest of the guys who are pretty darn good could get forward or have freedom to find spaces. And that is what made the game so one-sided, especially in that second half, because Australia did not a whole lot. And I think that was mainly because of that 2-striker setup. And look, if Christian Pulisic is healthy, I don't think you're doing that. But with Christian Pulisic being out, it made sense. It really did for the game that you knew that you were going to play.
And I found, in staring at it when it's in front of me, it registers. It's like, oh, yeah, that did exactly happen. Every member of the Australia backline, short of Burgess, had a yellow card in this match. Burgess was credited with the OG.
And what did Burgess have?
Burgess punched a 5.5, and he had the OG. Boss, Sutar, Circotti, and Italiano.
And this is after he said he didn't want to. This was like the most important match he was ever going to play. He's never wanted to play beat a team more than the U.S.
And so he ends up with the lowest rating and the own goal with a 5.5. So, and Cameron Burgess only lasted 45. He was swapped out at the half for Jason Garia. The numbers for Burgess in defense: 3 contributions, a pick, a clearance, a block, a recovery, 1-for-1 on his duels, 1-time dribble, passed, and an own goal. So that was what Cameron Burgess had. Everybody else, Boss, Shutar, Circotti, and Italiano, each had yellow cards at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's crazy. You go 5 in the back, you get 4 yellow cards.
And an own goal, yeah.
But, John, obviously this game was rigged because Australia lost. So that's how this works. Look, I thought that this was the game plan from Australia. We saw this even against Turkey, where they were extremely defensive and fouled a lot. The difference is Turkey apparently is unable to score a goal. And the U.S. finds ways to put the ball in the back of the net. And it really does help when the opponent does it for you, which has happened twice in a row. And it happened in early settings twice in a row, which feels really awesome. If you're going to, to be frank, I think that's a great trend that the U.S. has. And I think what you saw from Australia was once they got turned, they were terrible at defending. And the U.S. is able to find a couple of moments to turn them.
Alex Freeman had the highest ranking in SofaScore. And I could compare this with FotMob if I had both tabs open. But SofaScore punches Alex Freeman out at an 8.3. And obviously you look at his shooting numbers and the offensive numbers just in general. Once again, shooting numbers of 0.34, 0.94 with expected goals on target, had the one shot and obviously the one goal. Then working up in play, he was 59 of 65 passing for 91%, 32 of 34 in the opposition half, 27 of 31 obviously in his own half, 2 long balls completed as well. Alex Freeman on the dribble, 91 touches, 2 successful dribbles in 3 attempts, fouled once, total carrying distance just under 73 meters. Then defensively, and this is part of the picture too, 11 defensive contributions for Alex Freeman, 2 picks, 5 clears, a recovery, and then 10 of 14 on his duels, 6 of 8 on the ground, 4 of 6 in the air. And he did have the one error leading to a shot, but a complete performance by Alex Freeman. And 6 of 8 on the ground and 4 of 6 in the air when it comes to his duels. 10 of 14 on duels on the day to add to what he did offensively.
You mentioned that one error that led to a shot, right? That happened, I think, in like the 2nd minute. And way up in the road double G where they put us, I was going, oh boy, we can't be doing this today. And so you had a moment in the beginning of the match where you go, oh crap. Is this going to be the type of day we're going to have? Because Australia was feeling themselves. Again, this was the most important match that Australia has ever played in the history of soccer ever. Apparently.
Yes.
But he recovered. And I think that was the thing that stood out was, he made a little bit of a bad pass to Chris Richards. I blame Chris Richards a little bit for that. I don't know what he was doing there, but it was a bad pass. And it led to a shot. And you go, oof. That's not great. Matt Freese all of a sudden called into action early on and didn't have to do that against Paraguay, really. And it didn't affect the team at all. I think, if anything, it kind of woke them up and said, oh, okay, guys, this is how the game's going to happen. We got to be a little sharper. And it persisted because Australia did press high. There were a lot of, the trigger was basically, did the ball go to Freeman or did it go to Richards? And that was the trigger. They were pressing as soon as that happened. Okay. And they still, as you just read off those numbers, and Chris Richards had a good game as well, they still passed really well. But again, Alex Freeman, you read off a lot of those attacking numbers. Even that was the thing that Australia just couldn't help themselves, is that, yes, they pressed high when we had the ball in the back line. But as soon as we broke that and we got them into their, I don't want to say low
parking.
What's bigger than a block? Boulder?
Foundation.
Brick wall. Yeah, wall. Whatever, the Great Wall of Westeros. And he was able to get forward. And that, again, I just think that was the flaw in the Australia game plan was, okay, so the U.S., we know, loves to set up in a formation that basically shifts into a 3-back. Maybe it is just a full 3-back system. Maybe. However you want to look at it.
Yeah. But
when you were so defensive, not only are you allowing Jedi Robinson freedom to get forward on the left side, which he did a lot, it allows Alex Freeman to get forward on the right side and combine with what was already given. And this happened. I'm shocked we didn't really score a goal off of it, but it did result in the free kick that led to Freeman's goal. McKennie and Dest were just clowning on those guys on that left side of the Australian defense. They really were. And when you added Freeman into that, it gave them a triangle to pass around. And it never really resulted too much in this is a goal scoring opportunity, but multiple times it resulted in the U.S. getting into the Australian penalty area with the ball at our feet, dribbling toward the defenders or dribbling at goal. And that was just kind of the flaw in the Australia game plan was, we're just going to defend really well. Clearly, it didn't really work because you gave up 2 goals in the first half.
And that was one of the things that Mauricio Pochettino talked about post-match were the triangles. And since you brought that up, it's having those guys in a very short element of space, and it was both on the left and on the right. But you mentioned what was happening on the right-hand side. You had the triangles working on the left-hand side as well. And it literally was, it was not, let's think about what to do with the ball. It's like bang, bang, bang. I know my other 2 guys are here. Where's my outlet? Where am I going? And then it literally was, okay, forward, back quickly, over and over. And we're going to do it on this side. Then the same thing's happening. It's like the decision-making, it's starting, and I'm not going to say starting. probably has been because we only get to see the first 15 minutes of practice, but the decision making is there, and it seems to be more effortless and just more of a second thought than it would have been otherwise if you haven't been together for a while.
Well, that plus, again, when you looked at what Australia was giving you in this game, they attempted to kind of go to the ball, but when you have those triangles, the decision making is easier because you have an outlet somewhere. And so, yes, training that is great because you do know exactly where players are going to be, or at least where they should be. And that was on display on both sides, and even a lot of times in the middle, because I think Balogun was a lot of times combining with either Balogun or Pepe were combining on the left side, but then the other striker was doing a good job of combining in the midfield with Adams and usually a center back, but it was still a triangle of sorts. It may be a scalene triangle. We're going to go back to geometry and figure out if that's what it is.
Was it a rhombus or a parallelogram at points?
No, they were definitely triangles. Maybe sometimes they were a little bit of a parallelogram or a rhombus, but it was nice to see the passing options that every player had everywhere on the field, even with a very condensed low block. You felt like the passes were made with the intent of breaking down the low block.
Did your seat help you to give you an all 22 when you were looking at things?
Yeah, actually it did. That was the only benefit of being that far up in the stands. Which I will say, Lumen Field, great soccer facility. The fact that the roof does cover, for the most part, both sides of the stadium, we were fully covered, so we didn't have to deal with the sun, which meant I didn't have to reapply sunscreen 5 times, which my pale butt was very happy for. I could understand a little bit why the players were getting hot and why the ref cramped up. It's never happened to me in a game, but I understand why he cramped up, because once we walked out of the shade and into the sun, I was like, oh, it is a little bit warm. And Seattle, like Atlanta, is not. It has humidity. They're surrounded by water over there, which was really kind of cool. It was nice. It was nice. I'm not gonna lie.
So you've got Turkey coming up, and I'm probably setting up a lot of your content for the Soccer for US POD later this week. Mauricio Pochettino has said that you're probably going to be seeing some different dudes for the matchup against Turkey, and understandably so, because the yellow cards that have been issued so far, they reset after the round. And so, I thought that you might get cameos late, like somebody steps in for like a minute just to kind of get the engine warm as part of your 5 subs. But I'm thinking that the matchup against Turkey is going to be one of those where you might see Matt Turner, you might see different looks. How different are you anticipating, considering what we have been alluded to by Mauricio Pochettino?
Yeah. Well, I'm on the fence about what to do with Christian Pulisic. First off, if he's healthy, I kind of think I want him to play, because I don't want him sitting for what would amount to 2 weeks. I don't think that would be good, but I don't know we don't know exactly the injury and like what it was. If it's a muscle injury, right, then maybe the rest is good. If it's just a little bit of a bruise, which if he got kicked, that's kind of what I'm like assuming it is. Yeah. Then I'm like, well, I think he should play so he's not like getting a little rusty. So that I don't, not knowing fully what the actual injury to Christian Pulisic is, because believe it or not, John, they're not actually telling us what the injury.
What?
I don't know if I would sit him, if that makes sense. And I'm probably a little bit it's a little controversial. It seems everyone seems to say just sit Pulisic, and I'm going, I don't know if I want to sit a dude for what, he last played on the 12th, and then he won't play again until the 1st. It's a long time to just sit.
30 days to September, April, June, and November. So 19 days in between if he sits in this.
And maybe it's only 45 as a sub appearance, or maybe it's just 45 to start. Not sure, but I would play Christian Pulisic. That would be the one player that, yes. I would sit Tyler Adams, because I think if you are talking about yellow cards, he's the one you really can't afford to miss. I don't know if I sit Anthony Robinson, because I'm not confident in Max Arfson from a defensive standpoint. And despite Turkey being unable to score, they have done good offensive things and kept the ball a lot. And I just, I still want to win the game. That's where I come down. I still want to win the game. You play to win the game, and I want to win. So that's the struggle of, okay, well, you balance the rotation with the still wanting to win. And I'm not as positive that a Max Arfston on the left side can give us the best chance to win. That's just me. I don't know if you sit Balogun or Pepe. I think maybe you sit. Maybe you just don't start one. Maybe you don't start Balogun. You let Pepe start. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe you play Haji Wright. Maybe.
I was going to say, you get Haji Wright get some minutes on the tail end of
that. But again, I don't know where the balance of what Pochettino's balance of win versus rotate is, because that is the blessing of having won the group. But these guys aren't tired. So if you're rotating, it should only be for a dude has a yellow card. And sometimes you have to go, okay, well, just don't go get a yellow card. Which is why the only person I would sit is Tyler Adams, because I don't think he has that switch in his brain. Which, to be fair, he's a defensive midfielder. I don't know if I want that in the defensive midfielder's brain. But like Balogun, hey, dude, just don't go get a yellow card this game.
Yeah, just don't be who you are for a game. Just
I don't want that from Tyler Adams.
Go against type for a match for us. Bart Keeler, Soccer for USPod, hanging out with us. We turn the page from the USMNT to.
Can I get one last note on the USMNT?
Sure,
one last note.
Certainly do that. Yeah, no worries.
John, I just want to take a pause to acknowledge the fact that we have won 2 group games. And the last time we even won 2 games in a World Cup was 2002, right? Which was the first men's World Cup I can fully remember.
Yeah.
I just want people to recognize that this team is doing something special, and we haven't even got out of the group yet. Well, I guess technically we have, but you know what I'm saying? We haven't left the group stage yet. So this is great. But we still got knockout rounds to play, and anything can happen in a knockout round. And be confident. Talk whatever you want to talk right now, but just understand that the hard part is coming up on June 1st.
Yes, that is absolutely true. Let's get into reffing down here. Felix Zweier was in charge in Seattle. And Ivan Bartone was in charge in a match. And for those that now, and I want to get the Ivan Bartone dossier here correct. For those that may not know, top to bottom, about Ivan Bartone, it was he's based in El Salvador. He refs in the Primera. He has a very storied history with FIFA and CONCACAF. He's done the U20s, Gold Cup, Nations League, U17 World Cup, ref the first leg of the 22 CONCACAF Champions League final with Seattle and with Pumas. He awarded 3 penalties in that match in 2022. Chosen as one of the refs to officiate the 22 World Cup in Qatar. Also part of the CONCACAF crew that went to the Club World Cup in Morocco. CONCACAF Nations League finals between Mexico and the U.S. in June of 23. 4 red cards in the second half. Fights between players. Ended the match early in stoppage time because of that chant. And then he was named as one of the refs here in 26. Group D match with Turkey and Paraguay. Ivan Bartone gets to be a piece of history. He was the man in the middle that gave Miguel Almiron the red card for covering his mouth in the confrontation with Mert Muldur of Turkey, the first official to use that newly introduced rule in the tournament. So Ivan Bartone is the answer to the trivia question, but he's also been the answer to a bunch of trivia questions when it comes to reffing down here. I know that you had Ivan Bartone in our text chat. What was on your mind with that, sir?
Well, okay, let's start with the positive, or at least the defense of Ivan Bartone. Miguel Almiron earned a red card. I don't know if you talked about it yet, but it's a red card. Yeah. I'm sorry. Those are the rules that we have instituted. That is the new modifications to the laws of the game. And to be harsh on Miggy, sorry, when you go by an opponent during a confrontational incident, cover your mouth, look at them, and very clearly say something while covering your mouth. I'm not assuming you said, "You're just the best player ever. I really enjoy you." I'm not. You didn't say nice things.
So you want to go and get dinner after this? You want to go hang out at a sports bar? You want to go to B-Dubs?
Dude, that goal was amazing. That goal was amazing. That's not what he said, right? And so, to that end, Bartone, that's what he had. I mean, it's not like he gave him a red card in the moment. They had to go to video review. He said, well, he did the thing in the thing that he was told to not do.
Yeah.
That's a red card.
And to be perfectly honest, if he goes to Muldur, and if he goes, hang on. So, dude, after the game, you want to go to B-Dubs? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You could say, man, that, can we swap jerseys after? Hey, are you having problems with laundry? It doesn't matter. When you do this, doesn't matter if it's with your jersey or if you do this, it's like you're stifling a sneeze, to quote Bill Murray in Meatballs, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. So, Miggy, it doesn't matter what you said. I mean, we can assume what he said or what he didn't, but the bottom line is, when you go here, that's a no-no according to the new rules. So Yvonne Bartone gets to be an answer to a trivia question again. Is it disappointing? Sure. But the rules are the new rules, and you can't go here.
And that's just really what it comes down to, is he just happened to be the referee who had to do it, and Miggy happened to be the player who did it. Now, the rest of the match was obviously an adventure. And my joke is, someone said, man, this ref is over his head. And I was like, well, yes. Have you seen him?
Yeah. Have you seen him? Have you seen him on Bartone?
Dude's in the deep end dude's in the deep end in a kiddie pool. Like, it just is what it is. We've seen this just repeatedly with Yvonne Bartone, and he's out, like, on the international stage. That's our referee. That's but sometimes I just want to go, like, this is what we mean when we say you got CONCACAF.
Yeah.
This dude is the prime example of CONCACAF refereeing. And part of that is, and I think you do get this a lot of times coming from Asia or Africa as well. And I'll get to my point. I'm not saying he's not a good referee. He's very clearly one of the best, if not the best, El Salvadorian referee, right?
Yeah.
But we just have to be blunt for a second. The Salvadorian League and the Salvadorian players are not the level of most international games. They're just not. Yeah. And so for him to go from that normally to then have to go to the next step up in like a continental competition like CONCACAF Champions Cup, and then even a step higher in international play like a Nations League, and then a step higher than that in a World Cup. I'm not saying he's not capable of doing it, because I don't think he's terrible at calling fouls or not fouls. Like, I do think his foul recognition is pretty okay. But there are levels to refereeing and game management that I think he doesn't quite hit to the expectation of what the match he's refereeing is.
And yeah, when you get to literally, he is one of those individuals, for good or bad, that when you see his name attached to the sheet, the spidey senses probably should go up.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So, you're looking at, when it comes to El Salvadoran teams in the power rankings, just to give you an idea, you're looking at teams that are 1,400 when it comes to power rankings and things like that, club world rankings. And, if you're looking at individual leagues, and I know that our friends at Sportico had the leagues themselves all ranked then I mean, you're looking at one of the leagues, God bless them, that is toward the bottom when it comes to the depth of field when it comes to this hemisphere. But Ivan Bartone, by that process, is still one of the top referees in that league, even if that league is toward the bottom when it comes to levels of respect and quality.
Yeah. And to be blunt, I mean, they let an Italian referee into this World Cup, so it's not like we're asking for the highest level of refereeing.
Careful now. You can get Nicolifi all
Where's
fired
Nicolifi? Come on, Nicolifi. Let's go. No, the reality is, John, Bartone is still a pretty good referee in CONCACAF. Like, I think we need to give him his credit because the reality is you can't just have every referee be from the U.S. and Mexico.
No.
Which are, indefatigably the best two leagues. And you can throw some of the Canadian referees in there because they referee in MLS. But you can't have that. We've seen a great showing, I think, from U.S.-based referees. Alfath has had a good game. Penso had I think by most accounts, a great game. That whole crew. So, CONCACAF refereeing, I think, is actually well regarded by FIFA. And I'll say that I think a lot of MLS referees are well regarded by whoever is assigning internationally, be it CONCACAF or FIFA, for a number of reasons. But Bartone is up there when it comes to CONCACAF refereeing. It's just, unfortunately, there are levels, and he doesn't always rise to the level.
No, he does not. So if I could spell worldwide instead of word-wide, that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for the international rankings of leagues, but they're not going to give it to me. All right, so you look at where El Salvador, by the way, as a national team right now is currently ranked 100 on the planet. So that's as a baseline for the information. So you look at the tournament now. Who else for you has shocked, surprised, good, bad, indifferent, ugly as we're heading into match day 12? So technically we're 2.5 weeks into this thing. What have you seen so far from your other observations outside of the USMNT?
Well, let me just say that one that I'm not shocked by, Cape Verde. I don't think that they are shocking. Now, I think that it's shocking they pulled the result they did against Spain. But as you alluded to, like Jarrett was even singing their praises. To say that there's something out of nowhere, you haven't been paying attention to African soccer for the past, really since COVID.
Right.
They're a pretty good team and have been since at least the 2022 cycle. They've had some success in AFCON and whatnot. So I'm not shocked they are where they are. I'm not shocked that they might be advancing and Uruguay might be not. We'll see how that plays out. But I want to give them credit because I think they're the small nation that is actually doing the Cinderella thing. So congrats to them. I'll give a disappointing one, and this is, again, not really a shock, but I've been very unimpressed with Uruguay to stay in that same group.
Yeah.
I don't know why I expected better. Maybe that's history. Maybe that's a little bit of Badge FC playing, a role in it. But I expected them to look better and get better results, and they haven't. And then also on the negative, it's Belgium. Let's just be real honest. They've been wholly disappointing. In, if you're the U.S., not the worst thing, because that's who you're. Now that you've won the group, you're paired up basically with the winner of Group E in your round of 16. Both group winners will play a third place team, and then those winners will meet up. So, I think you do like your chances better against Egypt or Iran. But at this point, Belgium's not playing well. They certainly don't look like they were playing the way they were playing back in March.
Yep.
So for me, Belgium has been really disappointing. Now, on the flip side, I think the teams that have been the most impressive, I mentioned Cape Verde, but again, Bart, is not going, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm going, yeah, that makes sense for them. I do want to say Mexico has played a lot better than I thought they would. I really expected them to lose to Mexico, or to Korea on home soil. I thought Korea just better team.
Yeah.
So congrats to them for getting that. They do have a Czechia team to deal with that they probably should. But they have to win because, yes, the head-to-head matters, but they do need to win. And I think, they need to win because the fans at home don't like watching Mexico not win, especially to a team that they should beat. So, I think they have more pressure on that regard. They're basically through. I think they may have clinched the group. If I'm not entirely sure. I think they did. But they've been actually better than I thought they were going to be. So I'll give Mexico some props because look, they've been doing what they need to do to get out of the group and put themselves in a potential to make a good run in this tournament, which is what, again, they're a host nation too. That's what you expect from a host nation.
Yep. They did win Group A because even if they lose the last match in group stage,
that's right.
They have the tiebreaker on Korea Republic with wins. So does not matter what happens. They are the Europe.
How do you feel about that, John? Let's get into this because this has been a fun hot topic of conversation on the Twitterverse. So how do you feel about the head-to-head being a tiebreaker?
I'm used to having goal difference be first. And being an old FUD. I understand the idea of change for trying to when you expand a field, but when you expand a field, I think you should regress into things that make it easier to determine what's going to happen because it's been laid out there that you could have a team that you could get jumped. You could have a better head-to-head. You could have an equal head-to-head, but you have a better goal difference, and you could still finish fourth and you'd get bumped out, or you'd still finish third and you get bumped out. And for me, it's too much thinking to try to have to figure out, okay, who are my 8 when you expanded the field on purpose and you now go to head-to-head as your first trigger in your tie-breaking scenario. So God bless who's going to be in charge of all this math because match day last, which we're going to have DR Congo and Uzbekistan at the Atlanta Stadium downtown. That's going to be, I think it's going to be an elimination game. I think it's going to be, and everybody's sitting there going, well, why should I care about DR Congo and Uzbekistan? A, because it's the first time in 54 years for one. It's the first time ever for the other. To see the two of them in this cage match to try to figure out, okay, somebody's got to win to get in. Somebody's got to put up a number, and you've got to be cognizant. It's almost like when you're looking at the last day, say, of the lower divisions in England or the Premier League, when you've got European spots on the line or something like that, and you're trying to figure out like the last decision day in the Premier League where you're like win and you're in Europe, lose and you're not. You had a team that was 9th, I think, in Southampton make their way in because of tiebreakers and such. That kind of chaos is what you've got, and it's easy to figure it out. It's points, and then it's goal difference, and then it's goals. For me, that should be it. It should be points, goal difference, goals, and then you get into all of the other 9 tiebreakers, breaking of lots, spinning of balls, cracking open plastic balls in glass bowls, and then flip a coin or whatever. So that to me is what makes sense. The head-to-head, you're having to think too hard, I think.
Well, I'll just counter it by saying I think winning should matter.
Yeah.
And I think beating teams should matter. So that's kind of where I fall on it. But I do think that when you look at the third place matches specifically, like I think like if you're telling me, oh, well, the US won the group because they beat Australia, even though they were tied on points, I go, yeah, that should make sense to me. Yeah. Or, Mexico won the group because they were tied on points with Korea, but they beat Korea. To me, that makes sense, right? Yeah, but I do see your argument about when it comes to third place because that is tougher, especially if it's, again, like you said, someone getting eliminated. But again, I don't know. I think winning should matter. I think beating teams in your group should matter. That's kind of where I stand on it. But I can see that it does make the last match day potentially a little uninteresting because you're looking at the USA playing an eliminated Turkey team, right? Yeah. While yes, Australia and Paraguay now matters, right? The fact that the USA Turkey match doesn't have anything to do with any results in the table is a little unfortunate.
Yeah.
Now, as a US fan, I'll take it.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I figured.
It's like when people ask me, "Are you mad? Are you upset that Arsenal won the league without having to play a game?" No. I like winning. I like having things wrapped up and taking care of business, and other people not doing that. So I'll take taking care of business.
Yeah. So here under the current scenario, here's how we know who the 8 in theory would be. So if we go past 8, or sorry, 8. So 4 groups. No, you go through. You know who the 24 are. You know who 12 times 2. You know who those first 2 are in theory right now. So the BBC
hold
is.
On.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So let me get my toes out here, John.
Yeah, well, literally take your shoes off. So here's the deal. BBC has a live table, and they're doing the math, and this is our reference point for this stuff. So here's how right now third place rankings are for the 12 teams currently not in. So as it would stand right now, Sweden, Scotland, Paraguay, they would be in, and right now it's easy because it's points. You have 3 teams at 3 points.
Yeah.
Then you go to head-to-head, and then it's win, lose, draw, and then goal difference and goals scored. Sweden, on the fact that they have scored 6 goals, and Scotland having only scored once, thank you, Steve Clark, Sweden would be ahead of Scotland in Category 2 by 5. So the goal difference at +5 means that Sweden would be, your first, Scotland your second, Paraguay would be your third, because with an even record, then you're looking at -2 in goal difference. That puts Paraguay third. Cabo Verde would be your number 4. They would be ahead of Belgium, who would be your number 5. And that once again goes to goal difference because there was no head-to-head. Then Portugal, Czech Republic, Ecuador, Bosnia-Herzegovina, they are right now all at 1 point. And then you have no wins for any of them. All of them have draws. Some of them have played 2. Portugal hasn't played their second match yet. Then you get into goals and goal difference. Portugal, Czech Republic, Ecuador, and then Bosnia-Herzegovina is out on goal difference as team number 9 as your third place team. So that's what we're looking at. Yeah. That's where we're at right now.
So that's where the thing is that it's only determining who is in third. But once you get to the third place teams, you are looking at the normal things like goal differential, goal scorer, goals conceded. So again, I understand why people are not liking the change, and this is just another change that FIFA has added to this tournament. So obviously it's somehow the US's fault. But I don't know. Again, I think winning should matter, and
so
that's
then
just where
elevate it in your tiebreaker scenarios, but because it seems like, elevate it in your tiebreaker scenarios, but make sure that it's in that, if you've got the head-to-head, then okay, cool, then you're ahead of that in there. But then don't confuse the rest of it and blow up the rest, and you have to sit there and try and figure out all the other things. So, yes, I'm an old FUD, and that's how things are for me. All right, so taping schedule.
Not me.
Shoot. I mean, look, this week I turned 704. So I know of which I talk about. I can be self-deprecating and stare into a mirror or a lens at any time. Makeup or no, sir, I can be self-deprecating and know that I'm the oldest person in the room. So taping schedule this week for the POD is what, sir?
We're going to hopefully record probably tomorrow, because I have I have to record a podcast with another podcast tonight. I think I'm doing it with another member of this here SDH network this evening. I think we're going to be featured on the same episode. I'm not entirely sure how they're going to do it, but I think I'll be talking with the voice. Well, maybe not the brain of Atlantic Items. I don't know how we're distinguishing Mike and Jason, but I'll be doing that tonight, and then probably Tuesday we'll be recording
Soccer Poet Laureate.
Now that we know we won the group.
Yes, the soccer poet laureate for the Godfather, Jason Longshore.
Yes,
or as Kevin called it, Godfather.
So lots of things going on. I actually turned down an interview request yesterday because I was like, I don't want to do that. I'm tired. My voice is still recovering, obviously. Sorry, I screamed my lung out. Then they played Country Roads at the end, and that didn't help me save my voice.
No,
so we'll record Tuesday. So yeah,
I was wondering what you thought about that, and the fact that now
I have thoughts, John.
John Denver is a unifier of fans all throughout this entire tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, shoot,
Yeah.
they're playing him during the hydration breaks, and yesterday, the fact that in the hydration break yesterday, they laid out. They actually laid John Denver out, and the fans for the Spain-Saudi Arabia match finished the verse on their own a cappella and hit notes. John Denver, the great unifier of everything beautiful game. Who had that on the bingo card? Now all you got to do is have the mashup with Darius Rucker and Shabuzi, and you've really got something there.
Yep, let's do that.
It exists. I'll email it to you.
This is. I just also want to say, John, I think having done now 2 match days in Atlanta, I don't know. I wasn't there for I did not work the match on Thursday because I was in Seattle. Yeah. But I saw what the South African coach said about the stadium not being a football stadium.
We ran that, brother. We got that on tape, and I laid into it for 15 minutes.
I would just like to ask him if his team is playing football or not, because I think that's yet to be determined. But what do I know? Our stadium rocks. Our stadium rocks. Sorry that you got air conditioning. Our bad. Sorry that you had about 70,000 people in there who were loud and raucous for all 3 games we've hosted so far. Sorry you can go to the bathroom in lots of bathrooms that are all clean, by the way. I don't know what he wants. Sorry the locker room had LED lights. I don't understand. This is what I'm getting. I'm taking a lot of time. I don't care. Whatever.
It's a Monday.
I understand character matters in a stadium, but I think people think character only comes from being old. Does Old Trafford have character because their waterfall is coming from the ceiling?
Not that I'm aware of.
Or is it just because it's old?
Well, you have old in history and attached to the club in and of itself. I think that's where it's coming
from. Right. And so that's fine. No one's arguing that doesn't matter, that you've watched your team lose here for 100 years. Like if you're, when Tottenham lost White Hart Lane. But there is character in a new modern stadium as well. And if you're telling me that Mercedes-Benz Stadium doesn't have character because it happens to be able to be clean, or because it happens to have a roof that can close, or because it happens to have, translucent glass that you can see out to the skyline, there is this weird mindset in people on that side of the Atlantic who speak English specifically that anything modern is somehow bad. And I'm like, I'm sorry y'all live in poverty over there, that you're unable to build a new stadium that possibly maybe allows you to walk into a bathroom and use it within 5 minutes. I'm sorry that possibly you're allowed to walk around a concourse and not have to be, shoved into a wall because you can't fit more than 2 people across it. What are we arguing about here?
Well,
but yet Qatar built all these great stadiums, and that's great that they don't ever use anymore.
Well, and some of them were also modular, and that was another aspect of it too, where they used recycled trailers from trucks, transport trucks, and they used them as part of the construction idea, which is a brilliant idea.
Which is great. Love that. But don't tell me that that's somehow this brilliant football stadium and a cathedral to the game or whatever they're trying to sell it at, when we also know how those stadiums were built.
Yes. So for those that might not know, I'm going to go ahead and play it, and I'm going to get you fired up again, and probably get me fired up again about the whole thing. So this was 4 days ago. Hugo Broos, the head coach of South Africa, and here were his comments that are frankly him looking into his playbook and running the same play. So this is him running 34 wham again, and everybody knew it was coming. Well, I mean, when they looked at the replay of the game, they're like, hey, wait a second, he's run that play before. He did it the tail end of the year. So he's like the comedian that is running the same jokes. He needs to come in with new material. So here's Hugo Broos after the match 4 days ago, when he was asked about the stadium that he just played in.
if I can be very honest, this is not a football stadium. It's a nice stadium, fantastic stadium, everything you want, but only the grass is football. All the rest is not. It's a covered stadium, so yeah, I like to play in an open stadium. I don't feel really the atmosphere in such a stadium. When you compare it with Azteca, for example, that's a football stadium. So yeah, we have to deal with it. And again, yeah, those stadiums are fantastic stadiums. Also for the crowd, I think they see everything in that stadium. There are no places who we covered or whatever. So again, but yeah, I rather like a real football stadium.
Hugo Bros 4 days ago.
Let me look this up here, John, real quick.
Are you looking up real football stadium in Webster's?
Which doesn't exist. Let me go to the standings. So South Africa, how did they do in Azteca?
I don't believe they did well.
They got like 7 yellow cards and lost. Okay, great. You lost in a real football stadium. You drew in a not real football stadium. Okay. Is the prerequisite for being a proper football ground that the stadium is crumbling? Because I hate to say this, but Azteca is notorious for not exactly being structurally sound. Yeah, I'm not trying to throw shade because I think Azteca is a great stadium. We're not arguing that.
It is being renovated also. It was a part of this tournament, yes.
It was falling apart before they started the renovations on it.
That usually means that's why something is being renovated is because it is falling apart.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
So, and that's the other thing. I'm not trying to compare our cathedral to Azteca, right? Because we understand that Azteca is a great stadium, because it's old. Is that all? That seems to be the only requisite for being a good stadium is that it's old. So what are we arguing about here? That ours are new? I just don't get it. And further, the atmosphere is better. Brother, you were playing the host nation in their home stadium. What are we talking about? I'm sorry that your team is so dadgum boring that you couldn't make the crowd in Atlanta feel excited to watch you. They're not, our crowds are not supposed to give you energy if you play without energy. That's on you. That's on your team. And I'm sorry that yes, the stadium crowd in the national stadium of Mexico, as the national team of Mexico is playing in it, was better than the stadium in Atlanta where South Africa and Czechia were playing.
But
shocking report from Hugo Bruce of South Africa. Shocking.
You had 219 or was it 223,000 people for 3 matches so far at Atlanta Stadium. But what I mentioned where he's done this before, he loses in AFCON December 28th from the Associated Press in Morocco. So he's in AFCON and he gets bounced. So he said there was a lack of enthusiasm for AFCON back on December 28th. In the Ivory Coast and Gabon. In 2017, he led Cameroon to the title in Gabon in 2017. South Africa, 3rd place in the 2023 edition in the Ivory Coast. Bros said after getting bounced this time out late December, in the Ivory Coast and in Gabon, every second of the tournament, you felt that you were in a tournament. The people were, when we went with the bus to train, the people were waving and they were with flags, and here you see nothing. So I don't know. But yeah, there is no vibe. There is no typical AFCON vibe. I don't feel it here. It is a playbook that he has run before. So Hugo Bros needs new material. And he also needs to understand, sir. And when I went off on it, I wanted him to come back. I wanted him to come back, not when he's coaching, not when he's, not when something's on the line. Come back here later for another environment. And not attached to the World Cup or the men's national team or anything like that. Come here and experience the tailgating. Come here and experience the walks that go into the building. Come here and experience the care.
Who does Georgia Tech play there this year?
It's not us.
Tennessee?
It might be one of those crossovers. Yeah. Yeah.
Come back for that game and tell me that that's not an amazing atmosphere.
Oh, but it's American football. It's different. I can see.
Oh, I know that doesn't matter. Ugh.
So, I basically bless your heart.
My steak too buttery. My whatever. What's my whatever that my steak too juicy. My bread too buttery. Like, what are we talking about here, dude? Sorry that it's a comfortable environment for you.
And I mean, obviously, he wants to walk uphill in the snow both ways and play outdoors in mud pits and that kind of stuff. And look, if that's your prerogative,
we have thunderstorms in Atlanta on Thursday.
We did, yeah, we did. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
imagine for a second.
Yeah.
We don't have this fantastic state-of-the-art stadium there.
There you go. That way.
And they have a lightning delay because as Europeans and people not I'm lumping him with Europeans because it's got a freaking Dutch last name. Sorry. But anyway, I don't know if he's Dutch or South African. I don't care. Anyway, imagine if we had to go through a lightning delay, what his responses would have been. Somehow blaming that for his team not being able to play good soccer. But no, we have a thing that allows us to play through that. Oh, he's Belgian. Yeah. Even better.
Belgian by birth. Yeah. Well, and today, as I have my eyes on the Big 55 over here, your night game in the Meadowlands might be in that category.
Right. I mean, because that's the thing is when they ask why do we have these domed stadiums, there are a lot of reasons, but there is a weather reason. One is hot as hail.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that counts as a bleep because of the way I said it. But
Hayell. Yes. Hayell. Hail.
You also have actual weather, like you have weather problems of why you need a enclosed stadium in Dallas, in Houston, in Atlanta, in Nashville, as we've seen recently.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jacksonville is putting a dome on their stadium. If I'm not,
they're Shad Khan is renovating the Gator Bowl, and it's going to be covered to a
I'm just saying there's a reason why we actually do have these, and going from while we loved Bobby Dodd, did not love having to wait out in parking lots for multiple hours as thunderstorms rolled through.
Oh boy,
just saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm losing my patience with these people who everything is a complaint because we in America have the audacity to build new things. Try to make things comfortable. How dare we? How dare we?
Yes. Yes. How dare we move along? And I apologize for that tangent, but yeah, when that quote came out, I spent my opening kickoff on that entire thing and apologized for going 15 to 20 minutes just wanting Hugo Broos to come back in a different form on a different day. So,
but it's just been this narrative from certain people. And granted, I understand that Twitter is not real life, but there's been a lot of people decrying that. And I'm like, why are you mad that we build good, proper, and I'm using that word, good, proper sports facilities that actually make the teams there? Sorry that our visiting locker room isn't the size of a, studio apartment. Like, what do we like? If actually that would be nice, the size of a bathroom in a studio apartment. Why are we mad that we have the audacity to have good catering facilities in these stadiums?
Mm-hmm. I mean,
and yes, David, Nashville's is domed. Yeah.
The new Nissan is going to be domed. Yes.
Yeah. So they need it domed so that when Auburn plays up there in the Music Bowl, it won't be so cold.
Well, we ain't going, so it don't matter. We've already.
What are you talking about? You can make the Music City Bowl. That's attainable for Auburn University.
But the boss is like, we've already been to that state. We've already been to that city to see that bowl game.
It's a new stadium. It's a new stadium, though, John. It's a new stadium.
Well, that might be why the boss might want to go, but that's about it.
Sorry that I monopolized. Can I give you a little bit of? I want to give you a little bit of Bart lore. Sorry, I'm talking a lot today.
Bart lore. Bart
that was my first ever bowl game. Bowl game. Was Music City Bowl back in 2001. Yeah. West Virginia played Ole Miss, and we beat them. And you know who the quarterback was for Ole Miss?
Let's see. So
he won a couple
Chad,
Super Bowls. I'll help you out there.
Oh, I was going to say Chad Kelly. But
nope, it was Eli Manning.
Oh,
we beat him.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
You beat Eli,
yeah.
And that's hashtag Bartlore for your day.
Yeah, that was the last game Don Nealon coached WVU. So
wow. Okay, so new episode for the POD later this week,
coming out sometime, probably Wednesday or Thursday. Yeah,
just in time for the new match. So as always, my friend, glad you came back. Rest your voice. Traditional medicinals throat coat tea is what I invented.
Lots of cough drops after the game and on the plane, but at some point it's just I screamed too hard. I'm not even going to apologize for it, John.
No. Let's see. So largest South Africa. So I'm going to go look this up for David.
Well, they still have Soccer City Stadium, which they used for the 2010 World Cup, which is dilapidated now, by the way.
Yeah, South Africa stadium capacities. So let me go here.
90,000.
Yeah, so list of stadiums in South Africa with more than 5,000. Yeah, so soccer stadium, Kaizer Chiefs 94.7, Ellis Park 62.5, Odie at 60, Mabato at 60, Cape Town at 58.3, Moses Mabhida at 54, Kings Park at 52, Newlands in Cape Town 51.9, Loftus Versfeld 51.7. So they've got 9 that are north of 50,000. So
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's
how full do they get is another question entirely.
Yes, that is the other element in all of this. All right, so I'm gonna let everybody know what's going on today, and I will catch up with you soon. Thanks for helping me.
Bye, y'all.
All right, there goes Bart. Bart's out. So that's Bart Keeler, SoccerForUSPod. And like I said, I apologize for going off on that tangent, but that's how things kind of get sometimes around here. Okay, let me get you into today. Because we did have post from Darren Baisley after New Zealand, and he obviously was not happy about what was going on there. So today, Graham Arnold in Iraq taking on France, and that one once again is at 5:00 in the afternoon, and that one is at, where is it? Not 25th. We're way down on the list. So France in Iraq is at the link. So keep an eye on that one because of the weather. Like I said, I'm keeping an eye on the Big 55 myself. So Graham Arnold, the head coach of the Iraqi national team, was asked about a couple of things and leading into this matchup. And so here is Graham Arnold discussing the matchup with France later today.
No, the mood is great and the energy is high. That's the most important thing because, it's a great occasion for Iraq to be able to play against France. And, these Iraqi boys, they've probably never played against this caliber of players before, so it's a great opportunity for them to show who they are and what they can do. So the energy's, the atmosphere is fantastic.
Graham Arnold, as they get ready as a big underdog, once again, they are plus 3,300, draws a plus 1,200. France at the link is a minus 1111. Argentina and Austria, once again, that one is at 1:00. And that one is in Dallas at Jerry World. Jerry World, or Dallas Stadium. It's at Jerry World. 1:00, Argentina, Austria. 5:00, France and Iraq at the link. Norway and Senegal, keep an eye on this one because of the weather. This might be the first weather delay that we will see in this tournament. Norway and Senegal at the Meadowlands. Slated for 8:00. Yeah, 8:00. So 8:00 prime time, Norway and Senegal tonight. Keep an eye on the weather. Norway a plus 120, draws a plus 250. Senegal is a plus 235. And Jordan and Algeria, late night, 11:00 kick. That one is at Levi's, and that one, once again, San Francisco Bay Area Stadium. We know it as Levi's. Just look at the wrapped logos. And we're going to have representation from Kennesaw State on Wednesday. We're going to talk about that with Dr. Heather Morgan. We're going to get into the investment side of things and making sure that venues are FIFA compliant and what it means and all the revenue that might get either gained or lost and the offsets and all that. So Dr. Heather Morgan is going to be joining us from Kennesaw State on Wednesday, bat and lead off, to talk about that. Kevin Hewitt one of the refs that you see here in the southeastern United States. He's going to join us tomorrow from Kennesaw State, and he's going to talk about everything reffing, conditioning, rules of the game, keeping your mind straight, and all of that stuff. And Kevin's going to lead off with us tomorrow. And then we're also going to have the curator for the Civil Rights Museum, the National Civil Rights Museum. He's going to be joining us, and that is going to be at 10:30. And if you haven't had the chance, if you didn't know the exhibit was up and running, soccer and the human rights exhibit at the museum next to the World of Coke downtown, it's up and running. It's gorgeous. Go. We're going to catch up with the curator from the museum tomorrow at 10:30. So we're going to talk a bit of reffing in a FIFA environment and what it's like and just what refs have to go through when it comes to these big ticket items. We're going to have Kevin Hewitt batting leadoff tomorrow, and then the curator from the National Civil Rights Museum is going to join us at 10:30. And then in between, we're going to talk about everything that happened today and what is going to happen tomorrow. And Ali Howarth, I think, is going to be joining us on tape Tuesday afternoon. And we're going to break down everything Cabo Verde with Ali, who's on this side of the Atlantic and is pursuing everything up in the Northeast. So we'll catch up with Ali tomorrow on tape, and you'll have that on the show on Wednesday. So those are your 4 matchups today. Also on the board is your AST Rewind. Once again, we'll go over AST's schedule for you. And Jason is up and running, and he is mondo mucho busy. And so tonight, 10 o'clock, 92.9 The Game, Odyssey app, 92.9 YouTube channel, stoppage time to follow. Going to have everything going on. So the three-dimensional experience starts at 10 o'clock tonight, and I think that's going to be the time for most of the ASTs for this week. Here's your AST Rewind to get you ready for tonight, where Jason is talking about things that make him smile, and here's one of those items.
Number 2 on the headlines, Spain and their quality today. I mean, the goals from Oyarzabal, the opening goal from Yamal, seeing so many Lamine Yamal jerseys. I mean, this is a kid who's 18 as Egypt tried to add another goal, but it got blocked, and that could come back to hurt them when you talk about goal difference. Lamine Yamal's 18 years old. He turns 19 soon. This is absolutely anecdotal guess. I think about 2/3 to 3/4 of the Spain jerseys I saw, which was a lot of them in Atlanta over the last 2 Spain matches, were Lamine Yamal jerseys. So for somebody to be that young, to be a face of American Eagle, which had never had a soccer player be a featured promoter for them, and he is now. It's wild. And so, like, you could just feel the buzz whenever he touched the ball early in the game. Like, he's got that. But there were so many other things that made Spain so good today. This is a Spain team that what we saw today looked like a team that can make a run. Now, Saudi Arabia is not the level of talent as in Uruguay in Game 3. And it's not a France, Argentina, England. It's not any of those. So you're going to have to keep raising the level. But Spain looked like the team that we thought they would be coming in. That was good to see. And number 3 on things that make me smile, I think what we've seen around these games in Atlanta and the FIFA Fan Festival reports tonight say that they have had over 250,000 people at the FIFA Fan Festival since it opened on the first day of the tournament. That's amazing. The spectacle around the stadium, the spectacle around South Downtown, around Centennial Yards, the fan marches, the fans from all over the world who I think have come to our city, enjoyed it, and will come back. It's what the Olympics did for this city. It's what this World Cup can do. It's what happens on Wednesday when Morocco and Haiti come to play. There's a lot of storylines there. We'll be talking about them all week long. Then Uzbekistan and DR Congo to close out the group stage games, which I think that one will be an elimination game. So 2 big games coming up with a lot of cool storylines. We'll be talking about it all week. 10 o'clock tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, we'll have a special 2-hour, 8 to 10 U.S. men's national team pregame show. Thanks for hanging out with me on a
And there you go. That is AST. And that's your AST rewind. So 10 o'clock most of the evenings this week. And so that is your suggested listening for your night side and catching up with everything. This is kind of like your kickoff to everything World Cup, and Jason is the review. So we're the preview. We're like the review preview, and Jason is the review preview. But we're like 12 hours apart. So you start your day here, you finish your day over there, 92.9 The Game Odyssey app, and the 92.9 YouTube channel as well. A couple of quick things before we get out of here. I'm trying to see if I've got all of the things that are on my sheet. Yes. So let me say hi to everybody here in the Twitch pitch. And it's great to see everybody here. She is busy volunteering. Yeah, David, she is volunteering, and she got to take flags out and everything. So she's been really busy. Morning, David. Morning, OG. Yes, complaining about the grass and all that kind of stuff. It was grass, and it was brought in, and it was kept an eye on by horticulturalists from some of the great schools in the B1G and the SEC. So there's so that was what Hugo Bros was up to. So morning, Wiley. Morning, David. And also, let's see. So who else is here? Let's see. So there's Wiley. There's David. There's the OG. And morning, Lokeville. And thank you for letting me know that my microphone, because I was doing the Twos game last night. 3-2 loss for the Twos. We'll get into that as we go this week, too. So morning, Lokeville, and thanks for being the great producer that you are. Now, a couple of quick things. Personal terms now in place between Gary O'Neill and Ipswich, and Timo Shawinga has agreed to a new contract with Kansas City current through 2029. So keeping an eye out on all that stuff. All right, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and we will hit the road because Mauricio Calabro is being introduced at 1 o'clock, and we got to get out of here so we can be over there and watch what is going on with one of the massive hires for not just Atlanta United, but for the women's team, for everything soccer for AMBSC. And so we're going to be a part of that press conference at 1 o'clock, and we will be there. We'll report on that this afternoon, and we'll have that for you tomorrow as well. So once again, voices tomorrow, Kevin Hewitt from Kennesaw State, and he's going to talk about reffing, conditioning, rules, big-ticket items, and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to catch up with the curator of the Human Rights Museum for their soccer exhibit. Saw it a couple days ago. It is massive, and it is incredible. So recommended that you go. Rumors. Manchester United could face competition from PSG trying to sign Crescencio Somerville from West Ham, according to the Daily Mirror. Scored in both the Netherlands matches, likely to have his transfer value increase from £15 million. Somerville doesn't have a release clause despite relegation. PSG ready to move as they want to let Barcola leave, also holding interest in €120 million rated winger Jan Diomande from RB Leipzig. De Zerbi wants Spurs to sign Cody Gakpo, and that's reported by Nicola Shearer. Spurs ready to offer him a position as a key player in a contract that runs through 31. Gakpo is apparently unhappy with the exit of Arne Slot, would take an offer upward of £60 million to make it happen. And in another post, Shearer states Spurs ready to make Newcastle a new offer to sign Sandro Tonali worth over £100 million. Clubs facing competition from City, Arsenal, and United. Speaking of Arsenal, trying to persuade Villa's Morgan Rogers to join them, according to the four-letter paper. Made signing him a top priority, facing competition from Chelsea. Both clubs willing to offer £85 million. And they have asked Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, Eze, and Madueke to help. They'll need to offload players to ensure they meet FFP. Rogers obviously would be a big loss. Real Madrid keeping an eye on Lille midfielder Ayoub Bouadi, who is 18, as he's representing Morocco at the World Cup, according to AS. Los Blancos have a history of signing players from the big stages, getting Mesut Ozil after 2010, Hamas and Keylor Navas after 2014. Bouadi has impressed during Morocco's 2 matches so far. AC Milan striker Santi Jimenez joining Orlando City. If that happens, they'll replace him with PSG's Gonzalo Ramos, as reported by Corriere dello Sport. Rossoneri been looking at Ramos for months. Discussions with PSG about signing him in the summer, opted to bring in Christopher Nkunku instead. In addition to Jimenez, Orlando once again looking at Gignac, having already landed Griezmann. Barca could let Rafinha go to Saudi Arabia so they could permanently sign Marcus Rashford. That's from TalkSport. Spurs midfielder Lucas Bergvall has made the club aware he wants to get out. That's from The Athletic. Fabrizio Romano, Internazionale have had a verbal offer worth €25 million to sign. Curtis Jones turned down. Deal is not progressing. Mundo Deportivo. Julian Alvarez, Atleti, can make a statement to help ensure his move to make Barcelona happen. Corriere dello Sport, Internazionale looking to sign Nico Paz from Como, despite Real Madrid have got a €9 million clause to re-sign him, providing competition. Team Talk, Manchester United have no interest in parting ways with Benjamin Sesko, despite Barca and Atleti. Gazzetta, Napoli looking with Juve in their interest to sign Atleti striker Alexander Sorloth. Gazzetta, Juve want to build a new core around Emi Martinez, Kim Min-jae, and Tariq Muharremovic. Besiktas, according to Gazzetta, willing to offer Dusan Vlahovic a €5 million signing bonus in their attempt to sign him when his contract ends in the summer. AS, Atleti are in talks with Racing Santander defender Jorge Salinas, who also has interest from Barcelona. Como want to sign Trevor Chalobah from Chelsea, but the clubs have different valuations on the transfer. That's from Fabrizio Romano. Brighton have shown they are serious about completing a move for Spurs center back Luka Vuskovic, who could move for €50 million. Corriere dello Sport there. Nicola Shira. Bologna have shown interest in Ipswich Town winger Jaden Philogene. Team Talk, Leeds have made a £20 million offer to land Southampton's Shea Charles. Nicola Shira, Atalanta, ready to submit their first offer to sign Forest fullback Nicolo Savona. Now, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link helps us out, you out, and them out. You get all the things, and you get access to your streaming services with them. You get to add a lot of the South American A and B divisions. You get BN, you get all the BNs, which means you get ties to Tigo Sports. You get ties to CATV. You get Middle East and North Africa. You get AFCON. You get CAF. You get Champions League. You get qualifiers. U17s were 2 weeks ago, I believe, on the network. You get Libertadores and Sudamericana. That's from BN. You get TVV out of Venezuela unless you have cable here locally, and there's a package that you can get that already has it on there. You can get CDO2 from Chile, Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru, TEC out of Argentina. All of that in one place at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. So today, 4 World Cup matches. Big FOX has the first 3. FS1 has late night Jordan and Algeria. Telemundo has all 4, 1, 5, 8, and 11. Universo has the 1 o'clock. Fox ONE has all 4. And that is the rundown for today. Once again, Argentina, Austria, France and Iraq, Norway and Senegal, Jordan and Algeria. So it's Messi and friends in Austria, Mbappe and friends against Iraq, Norway and Holland and his group against Senegal at 8, Jordan and Algeria at 11 o'clock tonight. So that is the rundown for today. We're back at it another week here of SDH AM, and it's been fun to cover the tournament so far. We're going to go to a press conference involving AMBSC and Atlanta Soccer. We'll have reports on that coming up for you all day today and tomorrow. It's another go-round of SDH AM back in a little less than 22 hours. Since it is the end of the show, thanks for coming by as you always do on a Reaction Monday. It means I get to do this. Mucha Plati, I'll play it safe. We'll see you in a bit.